New year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
It's football season, and you can now get almost anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a running back delivered, but you can get baby back ribs delivered. A strong defense? No. A strong deodorant? Yes. A 6-pack of abs? Nope. 6-pack of beer? Yes. Get almost anything for game day delivered with Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Alcohol 21 plus and in select cities. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
Hello everyone, it's Gav, and before we begin, I want to let you know that this episode of How Are the Podcast is sponsored by LiveScoreBet, a proud principal partner of Sunderland FC. And if you're looking to get started, LiveScoreBet have got a cracking welcome offer for new customers. All you have to do is bet £10 on sports and you get £30 in free bets. It's as simple as that. So, if you're ready to join the action, make sure you're doing it with LiveScoreBet, the home of total betting. This offer is available to new members only, and you need to put £10 or more on a bet on sports within 14 days of opening your account. Free bets are valid for 7 days, £20 to use on Sportsbook, £10 on Bet Builder. T's and C's and deposit exclusions apply. Bet responsibly, over 18s only. Hello everyone and welcome to How Are the Podcast, sponsored by LiveScoreBet. It's Gav and you join us the morning after Sunderland's victory in the FA Cup over Everton on penalties. It was a fantastic day. I'm glad we're here to talk all about it, and joining me today I've got Andrew Smithson with us. Hello mate.
Hello, good morning. I can already feel a touch of cup fever coming on. So if I'm croaky, that's what that is.
I'm blaming the Guinness because it's very early and I was out in town last night. Also with us, we've got James Copley from the Sunderland Echo. Hello, mate.
Hello, thanks for having us.
Yes, it was a good day, wasn't it, James? We've not had many of these when it comes to the cups in recent years. It was fairly dramatic. We'll get into the ins and outs of it, but it was nice at the end there, wasn't it, to see Sunderland go through?
It was. I think it's only the second time in 10 seasons Sunderland have got to the FA Cup fourth round, which is bananas, really, for a club the size of Sunderland. And we had over the years in League One some pretty embarrassing moments, didn't we, which we'll not go into. So that felt nice. It was nice to go to a new stadium, and it was nice to get the win in the end, because I thought the referee was going to spoil it, but he didn't, turns out.
Yes. It could have went another way, Andrew, couldn't it? But it didn't. So we're very thankful this morning that Sunderland got through.
Yeah, it did look those last few minutes as if the referee was doing his best to get Everton into the next round. But even once they did equalise, I was still really happy, because after the last couple of weeks and Sunderland had started to look a little bit leggy, I thought that was like a real return to form.
Yeah.
We were doing all the stuff that we've been doing previously that's seen us get so many good results. So I would have taken some confidence from it regardless. But yeah, that we then like kicked on in extra time and in the penalties and got through was just crackers, man. It was brilliant. Brilliant.
The referee has been mentioned a couple of times there, so let's start with him. John Brooks. He was terrible. Is it just me, or do we seem to get a really bad ref every single week, James? I don't know. I'm not massive one of the ref bashing and all that, but what you have said is right. It felt like he was just determined to derail the game, and that's apparently a top level referee.
Yeah, it was a little bit bizarre, and like you, I don't really like to dig referees out, but there seemed to be a little bit of a period, particularly in the second half, where he just decided not to give any decisions at all. It was crazy. There was fouls coming in left, right, and centre, and I actually think he was bad for both teams. But the penalty, I mean, Granit Xhaka's involved, Trey Hume's involved, but it's just a little shoulder barge. The lad goes down. Ironically, I think VAR would have chalked that off, wasn't it? But for whatever reason, it's not in use between two Premier League clubs in a third round tie, despite it being used later on in the competition. I do find that a little bit bizarre. So yeah, it was a strange performance by the referee, I think, but thankfully they managed to get it over the line. The standard of officiating is puzzling. I think it's a really tough job, and I do feel for them because there's so much noise around it, and I do try my best not to contribute to that noise but it is quite difficult when they get things very wrong. But you've got Mark Clattenburg and Dermot Gallagher on ref watch, and you bloody Keith Hackett piping up every 5 minutes. So I think it is a tough job, and I do have sympathies with them. But I think they should be given all the help they can get. And for me, VAR should be involved if there's scope for it in the FA Cup. I don't see why it shouldn't be.
Fully expecting Keith Hackett to appear at some point defending his performance.
No, he's actually come out and criticised it. So he's actually on our side for once. I know.
I know. It's normally whenever I just open news now, I just see Keith Hackett saying something ridiculous. It's not normally the case, isn't it? But well, fair enough. I can't fault him if he's backing us up on that one. But it was a different looking Sunderland 11, Andrew. We did change things up a little bit, but I think Reggie stuck to his promise that he gave in the press conference when he said he would go pretty strong. You look at the 11. Robin Roefs started. Would have been very easy to play Anthony Patterson, but he didn't. And that proved decisive, as we'll get on to. But Trey Hume was at right back. Dennis Serkin left back. No sign of Ronaldo, which is interesting, because I think a lot of people were expecting him to maybe be on the bench. Nordi Mukiele and Luke O'Nien making up the two central defensive positions, which was nice to see. Great to see Luke in the team. And then a midfield three of Granit Xhaka, Noah Siddiqui and Enzo Lafay, which is about as strong as we can go at the minute. On the wings, we had Romain Mundle and Simon Adingra, and then up top was the big man, Eliza Mayena. So, yeah, we went pretty strong, didn't we?
We did, yeah. And the changes that he made, you could see why. It wasn't just a case of, give a few lads a bit of a run out. It was with a view to putting our strongest team available out. And I was shocked when I saw the team news. I was over the moon with it. And I've got to say, Luke O'Nien, absolutely brilliant. Just phenomenal. Yeah. He was probably the biggest shock in terms of who was in that starting 11. He was really, really good, and I was chuffed to bits that he got to have his moment at the end and that he'd played so well beforehand.
Yeah. When you look at the Everton team, James, they went about, I would say, about as strong as they could have, but we all know that Everton have got problems too. They're missing players through AFCON and suspension and injury, the same as we are, to be fair. But they went pretty strong. They went with probably their strongest team they could have went with, give or take one or two. So for me, it was important we did that, because I'm not one of these who wants to see like a fully changed team for cup games. Especially now, I think we've hit that magic 30-point mark. It looks like the only way is up for us in the Premier League. There's no reason why you shouldn't take the cups seriously. And I think Reggie said in his press conference something along the lines of inclusion in cup competitions will be really important for us later in the season when it comes to momentum and things like that. So the club are going to want a good cup run, aren't they? And you can see why they went with the strongest team. I mean, there are one or two there where you can maybe go, he could have probably done with the rest given the workload recently. But I don't think it showed in the performance, actually. I think the players who started all played really well.
Yeah, you're dead right. And momentum is really, really important in football. And it was good to bounce back from that disappointing loss to Brentford, which felt like a little bit of a game too far, didn't it? I think, when you've got 7,500 fans there as well, I think you've sort of got a bit of a responsibility to take that game seriously. The club's moved on. Sunderland are a Premier League outfit now. The prize money for the FA Cup isn't bad. There's still a great deal of prestige there. The Carabao Cup for me, I think, is a little bit of a different ball game because the prize money's absolutely
Mickey Mouse Cup. That one.
Yeah, the prize money's not very good, and there isn't that same level of prestige as there is with the FA Cup. But I was pleasantly surprised to see that Sunderland went strong. I just think as well, like Noah Siddiqui coming back in was so noticeable.
Yeah.
He just slotted straight back in, played the whole game, and you were just like, wow, his positional awareness, everything that he does, it's going to be such a major boost to us. And I was really pleased as well to see Mayenda get an assist, and I know he got man of the match as well, which I was a tad surprised with because I probably would have gone Roofs or even 09, to be honest. Xhaka was very good. But I think there are a lot of positives, and I think really important for Le Bris because his main words are connection and momentum and all of that sort of stuff. And I think it was really important for Sunderland to one, bounce back against Brentford, but to sort of keep the momentums and the connections sort of on the pitch going, because we don't have a lot of midweek games really in the Premier League. It's very different to the Championship, and I think he can coach this team now. So I think it was important for the group to get those minutes under his belt. I spoke to Luke O'Neill after the game, and he was actually delighted it went to extra time because he's played so little. He was pleased to get the extra minutes under his belt, which sort of sums him up. But yeah, it was a good performance, and it was a really nice day out as well. Everton Stadium's pretty good, I would say. And it's just nice to be in that FA Cup next round draw, isn't it? The excitement. I think we've all maybe caught a little bit of cup fever. And, who knows, a couple of wins later, you can be looking at a quarter final, and then you're dreaming of Wembley again. And the thing I will say is that this team and this club and this management structure produce big moments. And I would love to see that happen in the FA Cup, because we haven't had a cup run, really, a meaningful cup run for a long time. I mean, there was the Capital One Cup in 2014, as it was known. I mean, we got to the quarter-final under Lee Johnson in the same competition. But in terms of the FA Cup, I think the last time we actually got to the quarter-final was against Everton in 2012. The replay
was it not Bradford the year after?
Did we get to
the
quarter-final, was it?
I think it was. I'm not sure.
Or was the Hull City as well? Did we get against Hull City, the weekend team? But it's been few and far between, particularly in the past 10 years. So it would be nice to see us embark on a little bit of a cup run. As you say, Gav, I mean, I called it after the Tottenham game. I think Sunderland is safe now. I don't think there's any way to go down from this position. I can confidently hang my hat on that. I think 30 points from 21 games. So I think a cup run would be a nice little aside to what's already been an amazing season.
How did it feel in the ground? I know you're saying there it was like a nice new stadium to be at, but a lot of Sunderland fans there, did it feel like a proper cup tie in the ground?
So it's been strange, actually, because I did Tottenham as well for the first time, and that was really, really flat. Like, the home crowd were awful, to be honest. It was a very, very strange atmosphere. Sunderland fans were very good, but that was a really, really nice stadium. Coming into Everton, I thought Everton's stadium had a bit more atmosphere about it. I think it's in a nicer location. But to be honest, if it wasn't for the 8,000 Sunderland fans, it wouldn't have felt like a very intense sort of atmosphere at all. It did feel flat. And I was thinking about this last night, actually. Like, it does take a long time for a place to feel home. I mean, the Stadium of Light very much feels like home for Sunderland now. And it's 25, 30 years old, whatever it is. But you look at the moments we've had in it, and it takes time. You can't just magic an atmosphere up. And obviously West Ham are really struggling with this at the moment. Their stadium has a lot of different issues, but it takes time and effort and energy to get these moments. You can't just sort of magic up an atmosphere. What I will say is that I do think it's all there for Everton at that stadium. I think there are going to be some teething problems. Like, I think it's very difficult for Everton fans to get out of the stadium, but the location of where it's in is actually stunning because it overlooks the river, and it's really, really nice. It's in a much better location than Tottenham's, which is just as it is in London, surrounded by sort of shops and stuff like that. But I think once they get it right down there, it could be quite powerful. And Everton's such a strong and passionate fan base, but I think from their point of view, it's jarring, isn't it? Because you've been at Goodison Park for so long, and the atmosphere was so good there. How do you recreate that in a new stadium? And I guess it's just where modern football's going, though, isn't it? But I think it's going to take them a little bit of time, and it did actually make me feel grateful for the Stadium of Light, because it's a modern stadium that can be improved. We're seeing improvements around. Kieran Louis-Dreyfus has spent money on it. There's the promise, actually, potentially, of expansion at some point in the future. And it made me very grateful that we've got that opportunity. The stadium's in good condition, but also it's a cauldron, and we know exactly what we do, and we have, this is where your side, the fans are able to organise. Obviously, that's come around in recent years after a lot of pain, actually. But when the Stadium of Light is rocking, I don't think there's another ground in the Premier League which is quite like it. Despite a glut of new stadiums, Brentford have got a new one, and I was talking to Phil Smith about this, my colleague, and he went to Brentford the other day, and he said, yeah, it was nice, but like Griffin Park was class. And it was a really good atmosphere, and this shiny new stadium is really good, and the facilities is class, but it takes a long time to replicate that atmosphere. And I think ultimately that's what Tottenham, Everton, West Ham now, Brentford are gonna struggle with a little bit, and it's a shame, isn't it? But as I say, I'll go back to my original point. It takes a lot of time and a lot of memories and a lot of moments. They don't have a Coventry semi-final second leg to get excited about. They haven't beaten Liverpool in that stadium. All those memories that are left in Goodison Park aren't there. So I can imagine it's like a new pair of shoes. It's strange.
Yeah, it is. And I think James made a really good point there about the amount of fans in the ground from Sunderland meant that I don't think we could have taken this game particularly lightly. I think it was important that I know the manager, he's got to do what's best for the team, and he's got to do what's best for the players and stuff. But I just think when that many fans have made an effort, and to be honest, we could have sold 20,000 away tickets. Like, the demand was ridiculous for this game. I just think it's important that you reward those supporters with a team that's going to that's I don't know what the word is, but that's going to just give the fans what they want. They've travelled a long way, and they haven't travelled a long way to go and see, with no disrespect, but some of these lads who are going to get nowhere near in the Premier League, because we could have made a fully changed 11, couldn't we? We could have changed everything, but yeah, I think the team was strong enough, wasn't it? He made changes, but he made the right changes, and it was still the captain was still in there, Lafayette was still in there, and Nordy played, Trey Hume played. We didn't change the goalkeepers. I think this was really important.
It was the numbers and the noise from the away fans was phenomenal, and I think the players recognised that, because not full time, at the end of the penalties, they all came across. They were all giving us, the big waves and claps and all of that. Luke O'Nien was just staring at the away end, kind of in awe. Perhaps because he might feel that this is one of the last times he gets to do that. But yeah, it was important to give the fans that, and it was important for the players themselves to do well. I think on the back of the Brentford game, we needed to do well, because I think had we lost, you could then maybe assume that the negative feelings would creep in. But the support was great, the noise was good, it was all 100% back on the team. I didn't hear any criticism or anything. People were buzzing for Enzo Lafay. Again, didn't hear any criticism of him after Wednesday. It was all supportive and getting behind the lad. In terms of the home support and it being a little bit flat, I wonder as well as if that was a consequence of it being their third home game in a week. And I'm going to stick the boot in, but David Moyes, man, he doesn't exactly inspire you. He's not serving up. He's not serving up good football. Everton at times, I'm going to say it, were crap. They were poor at times.
They've had a terrible week as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that might have contributed to it. And my only comment, well, not my only comment, but the ground, considering the section I was in, is actually designed for home supporters. It was one of the areas that they had to give over to Sunderland. Lovely big concourses and that. The toilets, man, were like a blooming matchbox. How would you ground, like purpose-built ground, can serve up those facilities? I do not know. It was a bit of a joke, in all seriousness. So there's my expert opinion on their ground. A lot of it looked really nice. It looks really smart from the outside, but the practicalities at half time, it was like a rugby scrum. It was mental.
How was it getting out of the ground, Andrew? Because I saw a load of chew on from Everton fans after the game, because obviously it backs onto a river and you can't get out the other side because it's on a dock. So there's only one side of the stadium to get out of, and there's a big, like, almost castle wall preventing you getting out quick, isn't there? So what was your experience leaving the ground?
Well, I think we avoided most of like the crush because the Sunderland fans stayed
Yeah.
a long time afterwards. You will have seen yourself, James, that like the home fans, as soon as 09's penalty went in, it was head down and
So
out.
some of them were leaving after Beto missed.
Oh, were they oh well,
Yes, honestly, I've never seen fans leave in the middle of a penalty shootout before, but there were people standing up and going. It was crazy.
they probably knew how bad it is getting out from the ground, so they thought, right, we're away. What I will say is, where we parked the car, we had to walk beyond the train station. Now, I've already seen videos about there being a bit of a scrum at the train station, but that seemed to have been well managed. So maybe that was just teething problems, and they've now got a bit of a grip on that. But I can see, yeah, if everybody's all coming out at the same time, it'll be bedlam. And I think that wall, if anything, Everton are probably quite happy if a few people hang back, because they still had all of the like bars and like food vans open. So they're probably seeing it as a good thing if they make a bit of extra coin whilst people are hanging around, letting the crowds die down.
That was one of my main takeaways from it. Actually, when we were walking to the ground, we got parked at a designated car park about 5 minutes away, but you were walking past and just the lack of pubs. Down that end is if I was an Everton fan, that would be my main concern, because Goodison Park, there was a fair few around, wasn't there? But I mean, it's not that far to walk to them, I don't think, but there's not a great deal down there. That's the only thing, isn't it?
Yeah, if you're an entrepreneur at the moment, you need to get some money aside and set up a pub near Everton's new ground, because you'd make a killing at the moment.
Yeah, it was. So the team was strong enough, and I think it was reflected in the performance. That I thought we were great from the start, James. I think I was really concerned after Tottenham and Brentford, where we were slow to start, and it felt like the players were really conscious of that, and they started with more zip about them. There was, we looked energised, actually, considering a lot of these players have played quite a lot of football this week. And you mentioned before, Noah Sadiki's inclusion. I think that made a big difference. But we started with a lot of purpose and verve. I thought we were really, really at it from the off. There was no signs from the players that they were just taking this lightly, and it was it's a cup, let's get it out of the way and let's move on quickly. I think actually we looked like we wanted to win, and we looked like we were really up for the game.
Yeah, they did seem well up for it, and it was nice to see that intensity. I don't think you can do anything but have that intensity when Granit Xhaka's leading you out. He's just such a colossus, isn't he? And the way he went about that game as well, playing 120 minutes, putting away his penalty. We're sort of just used to it now, but he's just incredible. But I thought Enzo Le Bris as well, he came out with a real point to prove. Andrew mentioned the away end and how supportive it was. It was absolutely fantastic to see, even in the warm-up, the Enzo Le Bris chants. First 10 minutes of the game, Enzo Le Bris chants, really, really supportive, which was class, because obviously we saw a little bit of noise on social media after that penalty miss. But for him to get the goal, nice little head-on from Mayenda, brilliant finish past Pickford, and then for him to blast his penalty. And we were joking in the press box that it would be funny if he did try and do the Panenka again, but he didn't. And I think he should just take every penalty like that in future, because it was marvellously struck straight into the corner, fantastic. And he usually does that, to be fair. So I was really pleased by the way Sunderland started the game. They had a lot of the ball, and we're talking about the crowd again, but they're really quiet in Everton's crowd. They didn't really have a lot to say. I didn't see or hear many chants coming from that big Everton home end. It was very, very quiet up until they got the equaliser, really, and I think that was to do with how Sunderland approached the game. I think the only criticism you could maybe give is that Sunderland didn't extend the lead and put the game to bed, because I think they were well worth it. They were much better than Everton. I know Romain Mundle had a couple of shots. There was the Nordi Mukwele overhead kick, which was fantastic.
I wish that had gone in.
Oh, would have been brilliant. Gone in. But what a save by Jordan Pickford. It was really, really, really strong. So yeah, that would be my only thing. Really, would be we should have been further ahead. and that sort of penalty call shouldn't have mattered. And I think that's the criticism of this Sunderland side, isn't it? And it's a light criticism because obviously you have to get the defence and the midfield sorted first when you're in the Premier League. But can we now go on and build an attack which is quite strong and quite potent? Can we do something in January? I think attacking patterns are really hard to coach. Attacking players are really expensive. So I think there's mitigation there, and Sunderland have done just fine. But I think that's the key question: can this Sunderland side sort of move towards being better in front of goal? And there's a lot there to like. I mean, Wilson Isidore coming back. Eliza Mayenda's a player I really like. Brian Broby's done magnificently this season, and of course we've got AFCON wingers to come back in as well. So that's the area of Sunderland's game that I would really like to see improved as we head into the back end of the season. Because I think if we were to become really potent in attack, then that's a really serious Premier League side. We've already proven to be really competitive. But if the nature of us as football fans, if we can just add that little bit more and get a little bit more out of them, we could be set for a really, really good second half of the season and a nice cup run as well.
Yeah, that's right, isn't it, Andrew? Momentum in cup games is dead important, and I think if you start quickly, it can only go in your favour, really. And for you in the stands, presumably, you've travelled a long way, you've spent a lot of money to be there. You don't want it to be like a typical cup tie where it's like slow and it's almost a pre-season pace, because there will have been a lot of cup games this weekend which were played like that, but it wasn't the case for Sunderland. We were at it, weren't we?
We were fantastic in terms of energy levels, and as James says, those first 10 minutes or so, I don't think Everton barely got a sniff of the ball. Never mind anything else. We were sharp, and we were the first to everything. And if you'd just been dropped in that ground without any context, there is no way you would have believed that Sunderland recently have had such a heavy workload and have been missing so many players from their first choice 11, because we just looked super fresh and really, really keen to get stuck in. And I think we kept that up pretty much throughout, the work rate and the levels. This is what I was saying earlier about, even if we'd not gone through in the end, I would have come away encouraged, because there were signs that we were back to how Sunderland have been at our very best this season. So plenty of credit from me for the coaching team for picking a strong team, and then for the players for making the most of it. Like you say, there'll be plenty of matches this weekend where sides are going through the motions almost, but that wasn't the case for us.
No, he makes a mockery of my thinking actually at times, Le Bris, because heading into the game, I was thinking I would like to see a strong side. Obviously, as I mentioned, I think you do have to field a strong side when you've got 8,000 fans there. But my overriding thought was, well, I'd like to see Anthony Patterson and I'd like to see Dan Neil. But then Robin Roefs does that, and then Granit Xhaka, Noah Siddiqui and Lefay have those performances, and you're just like, well, I'm an idiot, and Le Bris was right all along. Like, you every time you think these players are going to come back in and you're going to get a little look at them and to see them tested against a higher level of opposition, the players that are selected just do the job. It's insane.
Yeah. No, you're right. He was completely vindicated in the selections he made, and I was fully supportive of that. I didn't, if I'm honest, I didn't want to see Patterson, Neil, etc., because that just to me is an admission that you're not taking the game seriously, and that's certainly no disrespect to those players, but you're not picking your best team if and in particular in the lead up to the game, he comes out and says we're gonna respect the competition and pick as strong side as I can. I mean, if he'd then come out and changed like 9 or 10 players, you would have went, well, he's talking bollocks, isn't he? So I just think he got the team selection right, and yeah, as we'll get into after the break, we'll chat about it. But some of those decisions were more than vindicated by the way the game played out. So we'll quickly jump for a break now because we're 20 odd minutes into this. So yep, we'll jump for a break and then we'll come back and we'll get into the more of the detail of the game when we come back. See you in a minute.
Why do growing businesses love working in Slack? Let's ask Christy at Ari Bikes.
Running things in Slack saves me so much time.
AI summaries save 97 minutes per week. What say you, Rox from Gosney?
Slack helps us build community, it helps us build connection.
Your partners, vendors and customers all in one place. Take us on home, Ashley from Caraway.
If we didn't have Slack tomorrow, I would explode.
Well, let's not let that happen. Visit slack.com/podcast to get 50% off Slack Business Plus.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire an energy vampire. But also, they're a literal vampire. And suddenly, my team is spending all their time sharpening wooden stakes and buying bulk silver and rehearsing ancient chants, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant takes insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a short list of the best fits for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Here's to quitting. Quitting the couch for a quick run. Quitting the snooze button for a morning workout. Quitting giving up after 2 weeks. You see, staying committed to your fitness goals isn't easy. But with Apple Watch, you don't have to do it alone. Because Apple Watch gives you real-time motivation, plus advanced metrics that track all your workouts, so you can stick to your New Year's fitness resolutions. And once and for all, quit quitting with Apple Watch. iPhone 11 or later required.
And welcome back to How We're the Podcast. And as I said before the break, Sunderland took the game very seriously, as was seen in the team selection. Started the game really well, James. And you mentioned it, but rather than go through blow by blow the game, let's talk about key moments, because I think the goalkeeper, Robin Roefs, was imperious throughout. And I couldn't help. I watched it round my mate's house in his bar, and I couldn't help but say to the lads, like, just watch the difference between Pickford, who I rate and I think is a brilliant goalkeeper, but watch him and then watch Robin Roefs, and you can see why Roefs is just so good. Because in one hand, you've got this really a brilliant, don't get us wrong, I think Pickford's outstanding, but erratic, emotional. He's up height half the time, he's coming herring out and flapping at crosses, because it's the character he is that he does those sort of things. And then you watch Roefs in there, like Everton were floating balls into the box, and he just comes out and claims it, and he's so calm, isn't he? Like, I genuinely can't remember being this reassured by a goalkeeper. Possibly when we had McMillian, but even then, I just think Roefs' level's above any keeper I've ever seen at Sunderland. And considering, even when Sunderland have been terrible, we tend to have always had good goalkeepers, bar 1 or 2 seasons in my life. I think that's possibly the highest praise you can give somebody like Robin Roefs, because he is genuinely, like, and I've said it before, I think he's top level, like elite level goalkeeper.
I mean, I remember Sorensen, but I was a bit too young to like watch Sunderland regularly and sort of understand what was going on. So obviously I know Sorensen and how good he was for us, but in terms of the goalkeepers I've watched regularly as a fan or a journalist, I think Robin Roefs is right up there. The other contenders would be Mignolet, Gordon, but I genuinely think Robin Roefs sort of technically is better. Pickford, obviously, we had very early on in his career and he was fantastic, but I don't think he's the goalkeeper he is now when he was at Sunderland. So I think all-round package Robin Roefs, and I mean, just a masterclass in scouting, really. I think the total package for him was 11.5 million. I think £9 million of that is up front. So there's a couple of million in add-ons there that will probably be triggered at some point. And think he was third choice. We were in for Petrovic, we were in for Martin Bulger, and we ended up with Robin Roefs. So I mean, credit to the scouting team for running through that list and having multiple players scouted for that position, because it is so important to have a good goalkeeper in the Premier League. But he does just exude calmness, doesn't he? You're never worried about him coming for a high ball. He doesn't flap. He's as safe as houses. He's a great shot stopper. Obviously, his penalty record's pretty good. He very nearly got a Garner's penalty in the game. He was very close to saving that. And I think it is important. It's horses for courses, isn't it? Because as you say, Gav, I absolutely love Pickford and I love his personality. I think that's what makes him the goalkeeper that he is. It's what's made him able to do big moments for England, big moments for Everton. But you can be really calm as a goalkeeper, and that can be really, really beneficial. And I think we're seeing that now. And it just gives that defence so much confidence, doesn't it, to know that Robin Roefs is behind them. And not only is he a great shot stopper, not only can he come from a high ball, but he's actually really good with his feet as well. And I think that's probably something we've underrated this season as Sunderland fans, is that a lot of our moves do start from Robin Roefs. I mean, that chance for Isidore against Liverpool at Anfield, that was mesmeric. That to have a goalkeeper that can do something like that and have that in his locker is really important in the Premier League. But just his short passing game out from the back is really, really impressive, and is not something I think we necessarily really expected from him when he came in. But it's been a pleasant surprise. And I mean, I'll throw this question to you, but what is he, 21 games into his Sunderland career, 22 games? I mean, how much is he worth now? Like, you're looking like, same with, I guess, Siddiqui as well, but just the age he is, the profile he is, the development that he's showing, the class that he's showing, he's got to be worth like 4 or 5 times that now.
Well, I was looking at something through the week. Do you remember when Kepa signed for Chelsea? And that was
70 million, wasn't it?
8 years ago, 70 odd million he went for. And I'm looking at Robin Roefs, and I mean, that was a really inflated fee, to be fair. But you're right. What is Roefs worth? Because genuinely, I keep saying it, and I have no qualms in saying it. I've watched him play 20 odd times for Sunderland, Andrew. He is going to go right to the top. And I'm just, every minute I get to see him in a Sunderland shirt, I'm relishing it, because I can see his trajectory. He's going to play for, he's going to go and play for a team who win big honours in Champions Leagues, and that's how good he is. Genuinely, I think, you saw it in the penalty shootout, man. Like, I can't get over how good he is in a season where we've had genuinely, you could sit here and you go right through the players we've signed in the summer and go like, he's brilliant, he's done this. Roefs is just so consistent. He's brilliant, and I watch a lot. Bear in mind that, and you'll be a bit like me, Andrew. Been out the Premier League a long time, so this year it's been a bit of a learning experience for me, because I'm watching a lot more Premier League football where I didn't used to, and I'm watching a lot of these teams who we're in the league with, and the goalkeepers they've got. I don't think I've seen a better keeper than Robin Roefs this season. He's that good, isn't he?
Oh, without doubt, he's elite already. And I think James, the phrase he used was like, just a masterclass in scouting, because that's what it is. We've not even picked him up from a particularly high-profile club or high-profile league. We've picked up a kid who's only had a short period in senior football. And yeah, we're already talking about him being like amongst the best of the best. Those penalty saves, I mean, he made it look easy. I think that final one, I've seen some close-up footage of him since. It was so easy for him, he was almost laughing about it. It was just, you don't see a goalkeeper making so many penalties look just so comfortable. And I think it's really important that we talk about Roefs and his teammates and how well they played, because I've already spoken about their energy and all of that and been really pleased. But we can't just say that Sunderland are a team of workhorses. There's some absolute top draw quality in that team. I mean, the technique for Lefay's goal. How do you side foot a volley like that with such power and precision? We have some absolutely class players in that team. It's a joy to see. There was a couple of times in the second half where we were passing the ball around really quickly. It was all clever stuff. And then we'd ping like a cross-field ball over to Mundell. And it was just a level I'm not used to seeing. So I love the fact that the players work their socks off, and you always expect that. But yeah, we really do need to appreciate some of these lads, because they are really excellent footballers, and it's a joy to watch them at the moment. And Roefs is, for me, right up there amongst our best signings.
Lugo, and I mentioned this after the game, and it's a point worth reiterating, but that goalkeeping group are really strong. We spoke to Roefs earlier on in the season after one of the games, and he sort of paid tribute to both Simon Moore and Anthony Patterson. He said Simon Moore was instrumental in helping him settle so quickly. And considering he took Anthony Patterson's place in the team, he said Patterson had been absolutely fantastic with him. Add to that as well, Neil Cutler, who came in over the summer, the new goalkeeping coach who'd been at Wolves previously. Everybody sings his praises as well regularly. So it's a real strength, I think, at the academy that Sunderland have got that goalkeeping department nailed. And you know, Barcarini as well, who was the goalkeeping coach last season, who's since moved up to be a first team coach. It's really vibrant at the Academy of Light. And, you know, you've got players out on loan like Matty Young to come back in at some point and really challenge and push. But it's Sunderland have always had good goalkeepers, haven't we? So it's nice that tradition is being continued with Roefs. And I genuinely think there could be a shout of him being one of Sunderland's best ever goalkeepers by the time his career here is finished, if he stays injury-free. I asked this question on social media, and obviously a lot of people point towards Jimmy Montgomery, and rightly so, but I'm not old enough to have seen him play regularly, so for me, he's battling it out with the likes of Mignolet, Gordon, Pickford, Vito Minone, all of those types of players, and I genuinely think if you just sort of use the eye test that he could be one of our best. Genuinely, he's that good, and I agree with Gav. I think he can go as far as he wants in the game. I mean, I actually don't mind him as a goalkeeper, but the lad Manchester United have got, is it Lamens?
Yeah,
I think Roefs is better than him, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he's right up there. Like I say, I think we're often reluctant to go in, you know, with both feet and say he was the best player I've seen, or he is the best player I've seen in that position. But I genuinely believe that with a lot of these players, actually, you know. And Roefs is, I mean, you just reeled off a bunch of names there, James. But for me, he's the best I've seen. Like, he's got everything. He's got absolutely everything. 20 odd games into his Sunderland career, I'm just lost for words as to how good the lad is. And we'll maybe come on to the penalty shootout towards the end a bit. But the game itself, Andrew, you know, like I said, I think we started with a lot of verve. We really took it to Everton. For me, there was only really one team who looked at it throughout. I can't remember which one he made the point earlier on, but I think if there was going to be one criticism, I think it was James said, you know, we didn't really kill the game off, and that allowed Everton that opportunity to get in, as bad as the decision was to give them the penalty. But, you know, regardless, I think we were the better team. And the goal, you mentioned the technique for the goal, Andrew. That was just a lovely goal. And do you know what else as well? I think you've got to give credit to Eliza Mayenda, because the assist was, you know, he lays it up lovely for him. He just cushions it, plays it into a nice place for him. And yes, it's a difficult finish for Enzo to make. And it was a brilliant goal. But again, Mayenda, lovely bit of quality just to play it down for him. But as a goal, it was so satisfying. And after the week he's had, you know, the criticism, some of it fair, some of it not fair, but he was rightly criticised for, I think in the main, for making a poor decision in that game. I don't think he'd need to be derided much more for it, though. You know, but he was, you know, we were right to sit here and go, what was he doing? It had to be him, didn't it? It was just a delicious bit of irony that Enzo Lafayette was the man who got us the goal, and he showed what he can do. He's such a talented footballer. Like, you know, there's not many players in the team would, as you said it, control and side foot a volley with that much pace past the goalkeeper. It was a lovely goal.
It took me like a couple of seconds of it hitting the net to go, he's done that. I have just actually seen what I thought I seen. Lafay there just shows what it takes to be an elite footballer, because everybody can train, everybody can get themselves into good physical shape, but to have the guts after Wednesday, and he will have been embarrassed by the situation and the way the game then turned around after that missed penalty. He will have had an element of guilt about him. But to then just step up and have the guts to perform the way he did and to take the penalty. He took our first penalty, which is a gutsy move. So that mentality and what have you is what sets him apart from a lot of players. Mayenda, like you say, it was a nice little knockdown for him. I think that was important for Mayenda because he was feeding on scraps in that game. He didn't have too many chances to have an effort on goal. So for him to be involved was important. He actually did very well in winning the penalty against Brentford because I think he nutmegged the defender when playing the ball through to Broby in the first place. So nice for him to contribute. And yeah, just it amazes me that this team have so many things nailed down. They've got the work rate, they've got this skill and the technique, but they've got the confidence in themselves. It's not overconfidence. It's just like a determination and an understanding of what they can and can't do. And if I may, just going back to the goalkeepers there, James mentioned the new goalkeeping coach has come in and there seems to be a strong little unit. That's not by chance. That's because Sunderland have identified a suitable person to come in and step into that role that's been vacated by other staff moving on or moving up to different positions. There's no point scouting all these good players and spending tens of millions of pounds if you're not giving them the platform at the training ground to prepare for games and do their best. So it's really pleasing that Sunderland are doing this and getting the right staff in and looking at every aspect and giving the players every chance possible. Because at the top level in the Premier League, games come down to like just minor percentages. You could be as equally skilled as the other team, but if you've not had the right preparation, you're not going to win. So you're seeing all of these things play out on the pitch because of all this work that's gone on in the background to give us a really good group and setup. And you've just got to really enjoy it at the moment because you're talking about Roefs being our best goalkeeper you've ever seen. I don't think I've ever known Sunderland be this assured and be this well run from a playing perspective. I don't think I've ever known it. It's great.
No.
Great to see.
Yeah. Other moments in the game, I guess, we might as well come on to it. The penalty decision, James. Honest. I'm really fed up with officials, honest. I'm fed up with coming on here and whinging about them. But how can you not? How does he give that? Honest. I've watched it 2 or 3 times and I genuinely, I'm trying to watch it through his eyes and I'm like, okay, well, is the justification for this? Like, am I just being a bit biased here because I'm a Sunderland fan? And I'm looking at him like, anywhere else on the pitch, he doesn't even give a free kick for that. It was like he was desperate to give Everton a penalty because it was right at the end of the game. Honestly, it's got to be up there as one of the worst, most baffling. I can't remember a penalty decision as bad as that, like, for a long time. I just don't get it. It was never a penalty, never, ever a penalty. The lad gets shoulder barged, like, slightly, makes a meal of it, obviously makes a meal of it. And the ref, he couldn't wait to give it. Like, I'm glad it didn't ruin the game. In fact, it actually probably helped us in many respects because we've got, we'll come on to the shootout and stuff. And that was fantastic for the fans to see that and be there and be a part of it. So in many respects, it probably added to the occasion, but it could have cost us our place in the next round. And it was shocking by the ref.
Yeah, it's a really poor decision. And I just think if you're going to give decisions like that, then there's just going to be so many penalties a game because that happens in every game, doesn't it? All of the time. It's shoulder to shoulder. Hume just uses his strength. And you almost feel a bit like Yadar saying it, don't you? But like, if we're given that all the time, then the game's gone, hasn't it? Because it's ludicrous. Fair play to the lad who comes on.
Game's gone.
The game's gone. Fair play to the lad who came on and won the penalty because he did change the game a little bit and he gave Everton a little bit of a spark going forward. But I mean, he's bought it, hasn't he? That's been kind to the lad. You could also say that he's dived and gone down soft. I mean, Sunderland players do it at times as well. It's a sort of a symptom of modern football, isn't it? Unfortunately, players try to buy and win penalties, but yeah, the referee got it really wrong, and I did think it was a poor performance. I thought he lost control of the game at times. As I mentioned, there was a period in the second half where he just wouldn't give anything. Seemingly, he was just refusing to give any sort of foul, and I think what Everton fans would say as well that he was poor for both sides. I mean, they think they've got a little bit of a penalty shout before that as well. I actually disagree. I think that's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I think that the two players, the Sunderland player involved and the Everton player involved, I can't remember exactly who it was, but they've both got a fistful of each other's shirt. Was it Nordin Mukwele for us? I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it was.
even for me, that's not a penalty. If that's in the other box and there's a Sunderland player involved in the attacking player, I'm not really bothered that that's not given. But it was a puzzling performance. It really was. Like, thank God it's not cost us. And in the end, we did get a really good moment out of it. But yeah, I mean, we were joking because we were sat in the press box, and from a work standpoint, like a 12:15 kickoff's actually really good because you get home a little bit earlier. From a fan perspective, it's a bit rubbish. If you're in the stands, you want a 3 o'clock kickoff. But we were sort of giving it the big licks. Oh, this is going to be class. We'll be home in time for a takeaway. And then Sunderland went and conceded the penalty, and it went all the way to a penalty shootout. So that just serves us right. But yeah, a poor refereeing performance all round. And as we mentioned earlier, Gav, you don't want to dig referees out because there's so much noise around them, and they do have such a hard job. Like, the culture around referees in football, it does leave a lot to be desired at times, but you have to call a spade and say that it was awful, really.
Yeah. Well, that's it, isn't it, Andrew? You know, we don't like diving in and criticising people, but it's impossible not to after that. Honest, I was baffled by that penalty decision. I don't, again, like I said, I try to watch it through his eyes. I don't see why he's giving it. Like, yeah, the lad goes down, but it's so soft. You've got to be, I think, as a referee, like, bear in mind my very, very basic previous experience as a referee. I used to referee, Sunday morning football years ago, and I did me quals and all that. But it remains the same. The point is that you've got to be 100% sure before you give a decision to give it, and there's no way he could have been 100% sure that was a penalty. And I'm just glad it didn't cost us, but it was terrible.
It was a really poor decision. In my mind, I feel as if he'd given it before the lad had even hit the deck. He was that desperate to award it. I do appreciate that. Yeah, it is a really difficult job for a referee, and I could never do it. But there are certain things where you fully understand. Oh well, you only get one look at an incident. It's maybe 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and because you're biased, you're going to disagree with the decision he made. But there was just other times in the game away from the penalty that he shouldn't be getting wrong. It wasn't like an interpretation. It was just basic facts that he was getting wrong. Another comment along the lines of, I sound like Yadar, but I don't know what a foul throw is now. And that's including Sunderland. I think we had a couple
naughty.
Oh my God, I couldn't believe that. That was the loudest the Everton fans were for pretty much the whole game, apart from the goal.
Yeah,
it was like a little kid taking a throw and winning. He threw it straight at the ground.
Aye. But there was other incidents. There was a couple of times when he's blown up when he should have given us advantage, and then vice versa. Times when he shouldn't have given advantage. Just his whole application of that was wrong. I seem to think there was a bit of argy-bargy in the second half, in their half, kind of like in their right-back position after Mundell had been kicked one too many times. There was a lot of aggro there. And I said at the time, the referee has contributed to that by not controlling the situation in the first place and not dealing with it. So players are getting their heckles up. And like I say, I don't have any illusions. It's a really tough job, but some of the things he was getting wrong were more than just me being a biased fan. There were just issues that a referee should have fine-tuned by now, and how he's letting them go like that is really, really frustrating.
Yeah, as Andrew kind of alluded to there, James, John Brooks, he made a series of bad calls for me. I thought the refereeing of the game was really poor. I'm not like, you can't ever like sit here and go, oh, referees like purposely derailed the game, or he's tried to do his job and he's just done a bad job of it. It's like, footballers do a bad job of it sometimes, where his pundits sometimes call things wrong, it's the same thing. Referees do have off days, but it just felt like for both teams, everything was just poor, like you had a hangover or something. I don't know. I'm just glad he never spoiled the game. I think that was the big thing coming away from it, was like, yeah, fair enough. we've come out of this on the better side of things. But can you imagine if we'd lost that penalty shootout? Because what the conversation would be like now? We'd be sitting here on this full podcast that would have been about that referee, how he basically spoiled the game. And they're the fine margins in football, is that sometimes poor decision making from officials can really alter the course of a game to the point where Sunderland, you just don't know where this cup run's going to go. We could go all the way at the final, right? But a bad refereeing performance where they make like calls like that, where they give penalties that are never penalties, and constantly blowing up to stop the game, and all these sort of things, they can be so impactful on how the course of your season goes.
I feel like he just couldn't decide which type of game he wanted to referee, could he? It felt like he was constantly caught in two minds. Do I let this go? Do I let it flow? Or do I have to stop it? And I don't think he ruined the spectacle, because I did quite enjoy the game, but he, put it this way, he didn't exactly help it. He didn't exactly help it on in terms of the stylistic sort of way of doing things. But yeah, it was poor. One thing, actually, going back to Noni Mukwele's throw, if you noticed, actually, and I don't know if this was an Everton thing, because apparently the advertisement holdings are quite close in, and he started actually doing it in games recently. He started playing it short. Yeah. We were launching these throws in, and it was becoming a bit like a second set piece, wasn't it? A bit like a corner, and Sunderland were scoring goals from it, and Le Bris was on about the first contact and all this, but they've started trying to catch teams out a little bit with it now, and he started going short, and I quite like that, actually, because you don't want Sunderland to become one-trick ponies, do you? And it's nice that they've sort of worked that out, and they tend to get quite creative with set pieces. I think in general, free kicks, corners, they like to mix it up. And it's just one little thing I noticed.
I was just going to say, on the subject of mixing it up from set pieces, we tried a really interesting one in the first half where we arrowed a corner into Luke O'Nien, who was on the edge of the box, and he headed it back in. That was something different. I don't think I've seen us try anything like that for a while.
I was dying for that to go in as well. It was the way he threw it. He threw his cell at it, and it wasn't going anywhere near the goal, but it nearly went in because it made that big deflection, didn't it? That would have been such a good moment. But yeah, I think generally speaking, the performance was very, very good. Even in extra time, I thought we were good, James. I thought the lads were well acquitted, and I think once we built into that penalty shootout, obviously it's a lottery at that point, but I had confidence because I thought the lads had played really, really well at that point. And on the other side of things, you could see the lack of confidence in Everton. You said right at the start about they've had a tough week where they've lost a lot of games. It was etched all over their faces when they were stood lined up on that halfway line waiting to take the penalties. And when they missed the first one, you could just see that they had no confidence whatsoever. They might have had confidence in Pickford's ability to save a few of them, because over his career, he's shown he's very, very good in penalty shootouts, isn't he? He's done it for England so many times. But I was confident. I don't know about you. I was really confident we were going to win that.
Well, I think personally it comes down to the character of the group as well. I looked at that Everton group, and I think sort of beyond Tarkowski and Pickford, is there a great deal of character there? No. Not for me on that performance. And don't forget as well, Everton had everything in their favour in that penalty shootout. They won the toss, so they're kicking towards their fans. They went first, which I think statistically gives you like a 60-40 advantage over winning a penalty shootout. They've got England's number one goalkeeper, as you mentioned, Gav, who's got a fantastic penalty record. And, they didn't score any of the penalties. And I think a lot of that is to do with the brilliance of Robin Roefs, but they did look like they telegraphed some of them as well. The body language wasn't great. And I think, it was never in doubt for me that Granit Xhaka was going to score that penalty. And despite him missing the other day, I knew Enzo Le Bris would score. I just knew he would. I had a little bit of a question mark in my mind about Luke O'Nien when he stepped up. I'm not going to lie and rewrite history. I know his penalty record in penalty shootouts for us is very good. He missed one against Millwall, like a normal penalty last season, didn't he? In the Championship. But generally, he's very good from penalties. But I was just like, Luke O'Nien versus Jordan Pickford. You don't expect to see that, do you? So it was, and O'Nien referenced it actually after the game. He said that he's quite proud of that, because next time Jordan's on the telly for England, he's going to be telling his two kids that he's blasted a penalty home past him. And it was a really, really well-struck penalty, but it comes back to my point. Granit Xhaka, Enzo Le Bris, Luke O'Nien, they've got character, they've got bottle. And just to circle back round to Enzo Le Bris as well, people were saying it was a disgrace that he tried a Panenka and all of this sort of stuff, and it was unprofessional and this and that. And I thought that was absolute rubbish, because if Enzo Le Fay, if you take away that streak from Enzo Le Fay, then that takes away from Enzo Le Fay, the footballer, the magician, the creator, who he is, his personality. So you have to take the rough with the smooth sometimes. He's learned from it, but he's still a fantastic player, and he's been a revelation for us. And I've mentioned this before, but he was the game-changing signing before Granit Xhaka was the game-changing signing.
Yeah.
He turned the tide for us in the Championship, and he deserved our support, and I'm glad he got it, and I'm glad he turned it around with his goal and his penalty. But again, to circle back around to me initial point, this team is just full of characters all over the field, and that's what gets you through games. I mean, we probably all listen to a lot of the same podcasts, but like Under the Caution stuff, they always reference its characters that'll get you through. You can have as many good players as you want. You need to have the talent as well, of course you do, but characters can really see you a long way and desire and want to win. And Granit Xhaka's reaction after the full-time whistle, the first full-time whistle, he was fuming with that penalty. He was smashing his water bottle off the floor. It was like, oh, is he going to lose his head here? But he managed to sort of get himself back round. But you want to see that, because he wants Sunderland to go far in this FA Cup. It's a reflection of him. He sees every time he steps out onto that field as a reflection of him, and he wants to put his best foot forward for him and for the club at all cost, always. And I think that's so invaluable. Did Everton have enough of that in their team? I'm not quite sure they did, despite having some experienced players. They just looked like a group who were going through the motions. And of course, they had 8 players out, didn't they? So they've got players to return. But tactically as well, David Moyes, give me Regis Le Bris any day of the week. But yeah, in terms of character and bottle, I thought, that's really pleasing, because they've shown it before, but to show it again and keep showing it, I think it's one of the hallmarks of this Sunderland side, is the talent, but also the bottle and the grit and the determination.
That's the thing, isn't it? You want to see leadership and character and things, but we've got that, and we've got talent. So, for me, Andrew, the most talented players we've got are probably Enzo and Granit Xhaka, right? And they're probably the ones with the most bottle and determination and leadership qualities as well. So it is pleasing to see when they play like that. And as James touched on there with the penalties that were taken, they're probably on the pitch at that moment. And actually, if we had everyone available, maybe Ronaldo you could include in this, they're probably the 3 biggest leaders in the group at the minute. So, for them to step forward and take the penalty shows that, doesn't it? Nobody went hiding, nobody took their boots off so they couldn't be picked. That sort of thing. It was like, no, we want to take a penalty. And James said, he had a tiny little bit of doubt in his mind about Luke O'Nien stepping up to take that penalty. I didn't, because I always say this to me mates, and I have done for a few years now. When he goes up to take penalties, everyone worries, and I'm like, do you think there's anybody in that squad practices penalties more than him? He will have, in the preparation for this game, he'll have took penalties for about an hour after training every game, just in case he had to take a penalty. That's the kind of character Luke is, isn't it? I loved it, Andrew. I thought, 3 really well taken penalties.
You're right, they were brilliantly taken, and it's no surprise that we're talking about our character, because this has been the case for a while now, and this is why the fans at the moment are just loving this squad. They are so switched on, and the players are brave. You need bravery to do a lot of these things. The Le Fay penalty miss, I don't want to keep hauling over old ground, but I will. I was critical, and I said it wasn't the right time or place. But the reason he did that was because he genuinely thought that was his best chance of scoring. He's up against a goalkeeper that he's taken a penalty against before. He's up against a goalkeeper who's got an excellent penalty record. So he's banking on the goalkeeper making a dive, and he thinks that's how I'm going to score this penalty. And he's just got it wrong. It's no different to he's trying to make a pass and it's a 50-50 decision and it's being cut out by the defender. So, he didn't deserve as much of the abuse as he got and some of the name calling. But it happened. And to then come out so quickly after and be so composed and put it to the back of his mind speaks volumes about him. But that would have been the case with pretty much any member of the team at the moment. Nearly all of them are really focused and switched on. And you're talking about Xhaka and Lefebvre being leaders, but we've got several leaders in that team, several players who lead by example, who back each other up. I can't remember if you said it, but Michele I would put in that camp.
Yeah.
There's very few in that team who you think are just playing for themselves and looking after number one. They all seem to be united and have a common goal and desire and an understanding of what they need to do. And yeah, you could pick apart so many positive elements from this team and point as to the reason as to why we've won our first cup tie in, it seems like, an age. We're in the top half of the Premier League. It's coming together nicely.
Yeah. We'll quickly chat about the probably the key moment of the game, I guess, James. Those 3 excellent saves from Robin Roefs. I mean, I said I had confidence going into the shootout. Obviously, the lads help, Granit Xhaka, Lefebvre and Unai by putting the penalties away. But Robin Roefs just oozes confidence and assurance, and he fills that goal as well. Like, you look at Jordan Pickford again, not the biggest lad, but he does everything he can to try and distract the kick takers. He's bashing off the crossbar, he's moving on his line, all the things that most goalkeepers do, to be fair. Robin Roefs doesn't really need to do that, but I mean, yes, there's luck when it comes to penalty shootouts. I watched the Wrexham game the night before. And their keeper, he made a bunch of saves in the shootout as well. And yeah, they've all got that water bottle thing going on with the kick takers on it so they can check what the preferred way is. But it is a lottery, yet Roefs just timed every single dive perfectly. They weren't great penalties, but he's still got to save them, hasn't he? And I just think he was excellent. Like, what a moment for the fans as well, because you didn't get to see loads of goals, but you don't often get to see things like that, do you? I don't think I can ever remember a Sunderland goalkeeper ever doing that, where they've just saved all 3 penalties to put us through in a cup tie.
No, it doesn't. I don't think it tends to happen very often anywhere. Really, in terms of like a goalkeeper saving 3 on the spin, you might have a miss in there or something. The team might miss 3 penalties in a row, but to have your goalkeeper save 3 on the bounce, I mean, for me, that can't be luck. That's got to be talent, preparation, planning, putting that all into practice.
Yeah.
And I think important as well, in terms of, we spoke a little bit about Everton Stadium and it not having the moments, but Sunderland fans now know that Robin Roefs, because he obviously saved one against Brentford earlier in the season as well, didn't he? That he's got a penalty save in him. And I think that's really important in terms of the mentality of fans, that if there is a big moment at the Stadium of Light or away from home, wherever it is, or a penalty shootout later on in the FA Cup, you've got this keeper, Robin Roefs. Everyone's got confidence in him. He's got confidence in himself. And it just helps build that sort of aura around a goalkeeper. And I think that's hugely important. And it's hugely important for a fan base to know, actually, we've got a chance. And especially when there's 8,000 fans there, you got a sense, Andrew, didn't you? Obviously, you were in the away and I was just sort of observing it. But you got a sense that everyone was quite confident in him to do something. The away fans knew he had that in his locker. 3 times in a row, maybe weren't expecting that, but we knew that this is a really competent goalkeeper who can potentially save Sunderland in the penalty shootout.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know if this is now hindsight, but people around me weren't particularly nervous. Like you say, it was almost as if they were expecting him to pull off a couple of saves. And again, it's because we've seen them now for the last few months trying to do things the right way, and it gives you this feeling of, the team know what they're doing. I don't know if either of you heard it, but he had a bit of a quip when he was interviewed on BBC 5 Live. Somebody said, did you have like notes on the penalty takers and which side they go for? And he said, yeah, I did, but it wasn't the best because I wasn't sure if I didn't recognise a couple of the players who were coming up to take penalties. I don't know if he was just having a bit of a laugh or something, but that made me smile in the car on the way home, that one.
Aye, that sounds about right. To be fair, I didn't know half their team either. So
I saw on Jordan Pickford's water bottle that they had Simon Adingra on there, and I thought he's never taken a penalty, even if it gets to a penalty shootout. Surely he'd usually always be off the pitch, wouldn't he? And I don't think he'd be one of the 5, would he?
No. But yeah, it went our way. Brilliant penalties from us. Obviously, I thought it was a great moment for Luke O'Nien to be the one who wrapped it up as well. Andrew, I thought it was lovely that, because Luke's had to wait his turn. This is really, I know he's had appearances off the bench and stuff, but if you go all the way back to the summer and you saw the level of player we were recruiting, it was always going to be tough for Luke to get games. But even then, right at the start of the season when we were playing Jensen Seelt, because we had nobody else in there, I felt gutted for Luke O'Nien, because I thought if he'd been fit, he would have played the first 3 games probably of the season. And then who knows, because he is a good player, and he had to wait his time, had an injury, comes back in, gets that stupid red card against Man City, which he should never have gotten. And he probably, Luke's never going to doubt himself. I think he's the type of person who is just used to setbacks and recovering from them. But what a performance, and what a way to end the game. I thought Luke O'Nien was, if that had been Omar Alderete playing like that, we'd have been raving about him after the game. Luke was brilliant. He never put a foot wrong. And I know, yes, Everton didn't have a strong team out. They didn't have the strongest players on the pitch. But still had a job to do. I thought he carried the ball into midfield well. Distribution was on point, which it always is with him. Grafted hard. Like you said before, came very close with a header. It was going off target, but it was nearly deflected in. And just put in a really good performance. And he was the one who rounded things off with an absolutely ridiculous penalty. He absolutely battered it into the back of the net. Showed everybody that's how you take a penalty. That's what you do. You put your foot through it. You make sure you bury it. But yeah, what a lovely moment for a lovely player.
Aye, it was. It was really sweet for him. He's been through a real journey with us. And you're right, he always comes back well from setbacks. We've spoken about the mentality of the team. Well, he is the epitome of that. You can joke on about like these high performance podcasts and some of these influencers, but he does drive himself to really high standards and tries to get the best out of him. That was just like watching good old Luke O'Nien from all the years, all the stuff we're used to, throwing his body in the way of things, quite happy to take a kick or be fouled as long as he makes sure he gets the clearance in first. He can be quite awkward sometimes, but he has this habit of playing like really nice headers back to the goalkeeper where he positions his body in an odd angle. There was a time when he was in the box ahead of a set piece and he's winding Pickford up and like stepping on his toes and getting in the way. It's Luke O'Nien playing the hits, being typical Luke O'Nien.
He didn't neck on with anyone though, did he?
He might have done in the tunnel. We can't say. We don't know, Gav. Yeah, there was no comedy moments, but he was good, and he played really, really well. Put aside all of his antics, and that was a quality performance. I'd have no problem if he needed to play in the Premier League. And I take your point that Everton had a few changes and what have you, and it wasn't their strongest team, but Beto and what's his name that came on? Barry. That is their 2 strikers.
Yeah.
Now, if you're an Everton fan, you wouldn't be best pleased with that, I don't think. But he was up against Premier League regulars, and it was lovely. And I think I saw him walking off with the match ball under his arm. So just a nice little memento for the lad, and just he can look back on his performance and be really pleased, because he was. We always like to talk about Luke O'Nien and all of this, but in terms of what he produced for the team, he was integral to the win. He was a big part of us getting through to the next round.
Yeah, and like I say, that playing out from the back and stuff, which was missing, I thought, against Spurs and Brentford. I thought he really lifted the level of that. I thought some of the passing out from the back was really tremendous. And yeah, he actually as well, by the way, not like in the past, he's normally played as the left central defender, but actually it was Nordy who did that, and he was over on the right-hand side. So slightly changed role as well. And yeah, I just thought he was brilliant. I just wanted to make sure we got that in there because I think you've got to give credit where it's due. And Luke, gets his fair share of criticism. There's still, after 8 years, there's still Sunderland fans who will never have him and will never admit that he's decent.
But these are the same people that rightly lambasted Ian Dong and Papi de la Bodji and Jack Rodwell, as I say, rightly so. But then they'll turn the nose up at the Luke 09. It's crackers.
Well, I've said it plenty of times before. He's my favourite ever Sunderland player. I just love him, and I love that he got that moment because, yeah, who knows how many more he's got? I hope he's going nowhere, but you just never know, do you, these days, because the rate of improvement at the club at the minute and stuff, and players being ambitious and want to play football and things. You never know with Luke, do you? You never know. He could be away at some point. And I hope he isn't. But yeah, I just thought it was fitting that he got that moment. And hey, he's given the manager something to think about, which is exactly what players should be doing in cup competitions when they get chances. You want Reggie to go away and go, I might have to play him next week. He was that good. Yeah, I thought Luke's performance was top. And yeah, it was just a lovely way to end the game, James, and a fitting. Well, the result was fitting because we were the better team by far. Everton didn't deserve to get back in the game. Yeah, we know we've got problems with scoring goals at Sunderland. We're not creating loads of chances. We had chances though. We did. I think if it wasn't for Jordan Pickford, particularly in the first half, it could have been 3-0 at half time. He made 2 brilliant saves not long before half time, and yeah, you're coming away with the same sort of questions about do we need to create more, yada yada yada. I think there were quotes from Regis after the game hinting that Bertrand Traore has picked up an injury on international duty and could be out for a little while at least. So the likes of Mayenda and Adingra, they've got to prove that they can do it, and I think Mayenda's done that. So you're coming away from this thinking, well, if Traore is going to be out a little while and we aren't signing anybody, I think over the span of the last 3 or 4 games when Mayenda's had chances, he's looked more than decent enough. And I know he played up front in this game, but you've got no qualms about that. So, like I said before, look at the back. Dennis Serkins, other than maybe one hairy performance when he first come into the team, I think Dennis Serkins been brilliant. I think he's had a good little run in there. The return of Noah Siddiqui to the team was needed. And we've come. I think we're happy, aren't we? We've come away with this. We're in the hat for the next round. The draw's on Monday. I think Liverpool plays at Barnsley, and they're going to do the draw. They're going to do the draw before the game, aren't they? So we know we're in the hat for the next round. We didn't win. It was a draw, but technically we won, and that was important for me because when you look at the results we had over basically since we played Newcastle, we haven't actually won a game. There's been a lot of draws in there. We didn't win this, but we did. It's a cup tie, and that's important going into the Palace game, isn't it? Because Palace were knocked out. Wasn't it Macclesfield put them out the cup? So, isn't a better time to play them, in my opinion. And this will help us this week, won't it? The fact we've gone through, the fact the lads got that moment with the crowd at the end, the fact big players stepped up and did their jobs and proved themselves again, I think is really important. We had to get through this game, and credit to Regis for picking a strong team because he could have went the other way. We could have tossed the game off, but he understands that momentum is important.
Yeah, and they've got 7 days now or 6 days at the time of recording on the training field. We know Regis Le Bris really values that time. The squad is looking good. It's looking healthy. Obviously, that Bertrand Traore injury is a shame. We're expecting Ronaldo to come back in at some point. Broby was taken off with a little bit of a precaution, had a little tight hamstring. That's not expected to be too bad.
Wilson didn't look happy, by the way, him.
No, he didn't.
He looked pissed. Probably just pissed off with his body, really. Not the decision to take him off, but as he sat down, he just looked really frustrated.
Yeah, obviously Wilson Isidor's coming back in as well after missing a couple of games. Habib Diarra, Talbi, they're still away, AFCON, but it won't be long until you welcome them back into the fold as well. And just quickly on Habib Diarra, I mean, he had that injury for us, and there's been a lot of chatter about should he have gone, shouldn't he have gone, and Johan Vissa stayed for Newcastle, all that sort of stuff. But Senegal has sort of done our jobs for us because they've got him back playing and he, I guess, look at it, although it's obviously a very serious competition, but like a little mini pre-season for him in terms of coming back into the Premier League. They've gotten right back up to his level. So that's hugely exciting for me because what did you see him play 2 or 3 times before he got that injury? 30 million club record signing. I really like that midfield, actually. You know, where does he get in? Does Enzo move to the left? There's all of these questions. So I think Sunderland are looking good. And I think momentum is key, Gav. As you said, it's really important for Sunderland to get a positive result in that game because otherwise it would have been like without a win in sort of like 6 or 7, wasn't it? And the Newcastle game with all of those draws in, it can switch quite quickly. But we're unbeaten at home in the Premier League this season. It's January the 11th at the time of recording. That's an incredible statistic. And I really hope that we can back it up and we can maintain that unbeaten home record because I think it's so powerful and it's given the fan base so much. It's given the team so much. Crystal Palace are no mugs, obviously. Oliver Glasner, really good manager, but they do seem to be having a strange season, I would say. There's a bit of speculation around some of their players leaving as well and the manager as well. Reports don't seem to credit him with being overly happy there. So I think it's a big opportunity for Sunderland. I think that it's a game that they can absolutely win, no doubt about it.
Yep, it's the final word from you, Andrew, then. Nice positive way to head into the week, isn't it? We've got another top week ahead. We're going to be playing Palace, obviously, at the weekend, as we've said. And a little bit more of a relaxed schedule as well. I mean, it's been hectic for us as podcasters and writers as well, just to fit all this football in and talk about it. I mean, busiest period of the season so far. I think this was kind of a nice way to cap off that little period, and we returned to a bit of normality. And it could have been a lot different if we'd gone out. I think it would have been a long week, but actually, it's going to be quite a nice week.
It will, yeah. The heart loves watching Sunderland play all the time. I'd be happy if Sunderland played every other day, but the head says, everybody now needs to just not have a break because they'll be working hard, but just bring the pace down a little bit, and the mood will be good at the Academy of Light, and I think by the time the Crystal Palace game comes around, people are going to be well up for it.
Yeah. Right, well, thank you very much, chaps. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. Nice catching up with you both, and nice to look forward to the 4th round draw and know that we're part of it.
Absolutely, yeah. Cheers, James. Thanks, mate.
Thanks for having us. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, and thank you to the listeners, as always. If you haven't heard it already, there is a reaction pod out from after the game, which you can listen to as well. There's also going to be plenty coming this week. I think tomorrow we've got On This Week with you, Andrew, and Martin, and was Kelvin on this one?
Oh,
you can't remember, can you?
We're recording a couple of weeks in advance because like you say, it's been an odd time and we're stretched. So we'll have had a recording with Kelvin recently. I can't remember if he's on this one that's coming up tomorrow, but either way, it's worth digging out if you've got time.
That's a little treat for the listeners. Yeah, they can pop it on and see if Kelvin appeared on this one. But yes, On This Week, if you don't already listen to it, is our weekly look back at the history of Sunderland FC. I love those podcasts. So you've got that tomorrow. And then throughout the week, we're going to have more podcasts every single day leading up to that Palace game. So make sure you get subscribed if you're not already. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like I say, we've got plenty to come on the website as well this week. And we will see you tomorrow.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time, 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.